What's up, guys? It's Dekkster here, and we have some new cards from Descent of Dragons to talk about, starting with Stowaway. This card is pretty cool, actually. 5-mana 4/4 rogue card with the battle cry. If there are cards in your deck that didn't start there, draw 2 of them. Now, this works really well, obviously, with the new Waxadread, and Rogue is also just known for shuffling cards in their deck through like Togwaggle's Scheme, through Lab Recruiter. So being able to pull those fairly reliably is kind of cool with Stowaway. Now, if there are like bombs in your deck, or maybe some albatrosses, this is gonna pull something you don't want, but since you're drawing 2, it'll probably pull something you actually do want. And if you have this card in your deck, there are probably gonna be things that you do want in your deck. This is relatively expensive at 5 mana, but a 5-mana 4/4 draw 2 is good. It's just, it's not good on its own. It's very situational. You need cards in your deck already that make this card worth playing. So if you want to pull your Waxadread or something, you're gonna need to wait, and you're probably gonna play this much later than you probably want to, I guess. So maybe just having actual card draw would be better than this. I'm not sure. Maybe we're gonna see more cards for Rogue that you're shuffling things in your deck that you want them, similar to Waxadread. And if we do, the power level of this will go up. But for right now, I'm gonna say this is a 4-star card. Okay, we got Bandersmosh here. Now, Bandersmosh, 5-mana 5/5 legendary shaman card. This art gets a 5 out of 5. Looks so cool. But as far as the actual card, seems really, really random. Each turn this is in your hand, it transforms into a random legendary minion. It's going to be a 5/5 copy, so you can get a 5/5 Thalnos. You can get a 5/5 Hyreek, which would be insane. That's obviously like the high roll. That's like the best thing you can get, I think. It could turn into a 5/5 Shaw, a 5/5 Ysera, a 5/5 copy of the new Ysera, or the new Alexstrasza, or the old Alexstrasza. So if you're getting a strong effect on it, obviously it's pretty good as a 5/5. But I feel like often this is going to be something you don't really care about too much. It's not going to really work with your deck. Not gonna have any like synergies or anything. And originally I wanted to give this card like a 2 or a 3, but someone on Reddit did do a write-up with some numbers. They did some analysis, and I almost want to do a video on just this card, like its own separate video, breaking it down. But it's looking like Bandersmosh is actually going to pull something you want. Let me read off some of these. There's about a 19% chance that the card is going to be amazing, which for me is not enough to run it, I don't think. You also have to consider that this card has to be in your hand for at least 1 turn prior to when you're actually playing it, or in order for it to, you know, transform. But he also says 44% will be really good 5-drops, and 66% of the time a card that's at least very good. So amazing cards would be stuff like Ysera Unleashed, Emerus, Hyreek, pretty good stuff, Caligos, Cenarius, Crystalsmith Kangor, that's pretty cool, Tyrion, Shirvala, Alakir, Shudderwalk, Agatha, Godfrey. There's a lot of really good cards, but then there's really bad cards like Millhouse, Aviana, Lodi, Mukla, Celestia, the Beast. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of good ones, there's a lot of bad ones. So does the upside offset the downside? I'm almost starting to lean towards yes. I think this is going to be a card that people have to actually play in order to get a proper feel for it. But statistically, it's actually looking decent, but I still have that feel that it just doesn't synergize with the rest of your deck. So it's kind of an odd card. It's going to be a really fun card, but does it actually warrant a spot in your deck when it is random? So I think this gets a 3 out of 5. Okay, all right, a 4 out of 5, just for the potential. All right, we got Nothogg, a legendary shaman card, 6-mana 5/5 dragon with the battle cry, summon 2 0/3 eggs. Next turn they hatch into 4/4 drakes with rush. This is bad. It's slow. It's not very good. I feel like the eggs are too easy to remove. If you're far enough ahead to the point where your opponent can't remove the eggs, that means you probably would rather be doing something else on this turn, and it's a win more card. If you're playing against aggro, they're gonna slap the eggs. If you're playing against control, they're gonna have easy ways to slap the eggs as well. And these aren't death rattle eggs. These are eggs that just hatch the next turn. So if they kill them, you wasted your turn playing this, right? Now, if they do spawn, you get 4/4 drakes with rush. Now those are pretty good. I just feel like you're never gonna see them. So I think this card is a little bit disappointing. If you have completed the Shaman quest and you play this, you will get 4 eggs, which is pretty good. And when you play Shutterwalk, it'll replay this, which obviously gives it a little more value. But I still think you don't want to actually run this card in your deck. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. All right, we get some really good stuff here. Arcane Breath, 1 mana mage spell, deal 2 damage to a minion. If you're holding a dragon, discover a spell. This is very, very good. It can remove a lot of those early game minions. It's also very cheap, so it's going to fit into dragon mages. It's going to fit into cyclone mages. And it's going to discover a spell on top of this, right? So you're going to be able to find a good spell for the right situation that you need it in. So Arcane Breath, just fantastic. This is definitely going to be played in every mage list that is running a dragon. I think it's a 5 out of 5. Speaking of dragon mage, we got Dragoncaster here, 6 mana 4/4 with the battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, your next spell this turn costs 0. So similar concept to Arcane Tyrant, but a little bit different. I think mostly you're gonna be thinking about using this with really expensive mage spells, which I guess the go-tos are what, like Blizzard, Flame Strike, Pyroblast. So you're spending 6 mana, you're getting a 4/4 body, and you're being able to Pyroblast something, Flame Strike something, Blizzard something. We also have that that mage spell that summons 2 6-drops, so you can play this and then summon 2 6-drops on top of that. But also the 6-drop pool getting a little bit weaker off of that card just because this Dragoncaster's being added to that pool. Do keep in mind that this requires a dragon in your hand, so you obviously need to be running a dragon mage deck, but you're gonna have stuff like Calico, so this is, it should be fine to meet that condition. Now this combined with Arcane Breath is actually pretty cool. Maybe you use Arcane Breath and you find an expensive spell that actually just fits the perfect situation. And then you're able to play Dragoncaster and use that spell. So let's say you have the Breath, you have Dragoncaster, and you got a Calicos in hand, and you got 7 mana. Maybe you play the Breath, you use it on something, get an expensive spell, and then you play the Dragoncaster and that new spell that you got that was expensive. Maybe it's a Flame Strike. Boom, you play the Dragoncaster, you use this spell, you win the game. Everyone's happy. And that's pretty good, right? I think there's gonna be a Dragon Mage. I think there's gonna be a staple in it. I think it's a 5 out of 5 again. All right, we got Bad Luck Albatross, a 3 mana 4/3 beast. It's a neutral card with the Death Rattle. Shuffle 2 1/1 Albatross into your opponent's deck. Now this is a beautiful tech card. I really like this. The stats are good. You want it to die. You want that Death Rattle going off. And you want to put crap in your opponent's deck. So when they draw these albatrosses, it just wastes their draw, and they don't want that card in the first place. So it disrupts combo decks, and it also disrupts, more importantly, I think, Highlander decks. So if this thing dies and your opponent does not draw one of the albatrosses, then you know, similar to having multiple bombs in their deck, they're not gonna be able to play their Zephrys. They're not gonna be able to play their Bran or whatever they're running. So it seems pretty good, right? I like it. But again, it's a tech card. It's not like you're gonna run this in every deck, but it is a really good tech card, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. All right, we got Zeraku the Warped, an 8 mana 4/12 stat line, just like a lot of other dragons. And whenever your hero takes damage, you summon a 6/6 Nether Drake. Now, I imagine this is just, it's a 6/6 dragon, nothing too fancy. Let's say you play this on turn 10, you play this guy and you do a tap, you get 10-18 worth of stats. Seems okay, but I think something to consider right now is if you're actually going to have your normal hero power. Maybe you're running the quest, and then you're not going to take damage when you use your hero power. Maybe you're playing Galakrond, and after you've played Galakrond, you also don't have your hero power that gives you damage. So I think one of the hard parts here is being able to take damage after you've played this. So it's a bit weird, and I feel like it's a bit clunky. Just thinking of the warlock archetypes that are going to be out there. If you're playing Zoo, you don't want to run this. If you're playing Quest, you probably don't want to run this. And if you're playing Galakrond, you don't want to run this. Unless you're running other cards that hurt you. Maybe, Hellfire? But then you're also hitting Zeraku and all your other Nether Drakes. There is that dragon that does damage to the entire board, which, again, you don't want to damage Zeraku. So the card just seems very, very awkward to me. So unless we start seeing some other Warlock cards that hurt you a little bit, but not too much. Or at the same time, if we're hurting ourselves more, we need to get more heal cards than we actually have. So maybe in the future, this is going to see more play once Warlock gets more heal cards, thus allowing them to play more damaging, self-damaging cards like, what is it, Spirit Bomb or whatever. But for right now, I don't think this is going to see any play. I think this is actually like a 2 out of 5. All right, we got Cumulo Maximus here, a 5 mana 5/5 elemental for Shaman with the Battlecry. If you're overloaded, you deal 5 damage to something. So that's a lot of damage. And this thing is not legendary, so you can run 2 of these bad boys. So it's a Lava Burst on a stick. It doesn't overload you, but it does have the condition that you need to be overloaded. So I can see some sort of burn shaman being a thing. Quest shaman already almost feels like a burn shaman sometimes when they got all those lackeys. They got, you know, the wasps and stuff like that, and they're just doing so much burn to your face. Now imagine that with Maximus here as well, you know, doing 10 damage for essentially 5 mana. I guess if you consider the overload, maybe it's 6 mana. But yeah, for, I guess on your 8 mana turn, you can lightning bolt your opponent's face, press your hero power button, your quest completion, and then do 10 damage. So boom, 13 damage on turn 8, pretty solid. And then the next turn, if you have this in your hand again, you can press the button and do even more damage. So I think this card is a little bit busted. I have seen the argument that Pit Crocolisk already does 10 damage. It's Pyroblast on a stick and nobody runs it. But I think this being quite a bit cheaper, a lot cheaper, kind of just counters that argument. I think this is going to see a lot of play. Maybe it's not only in Quest Shaman, but maybe in just some Burn Shamans. Maybe Burn Shaman as an archetype will come back. Maybe they cut the Lava Bursts and they play this instead, or they cut the Rock Biters and play this instead. So yeah, I think this is a 5 out of 5. But that's about it. That's all the cards we got for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked the video. Good luck on ladder and on the battlegrounds, and stay hydrated.